It's 9 o'clock, I'll call the meeting to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we're in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. I'll introduce the members of the panel. To my far left is Ms. Lynn Nesbitt. To my immediate left is Mr. Ron Merritt. My name is Stu McPherson. I'll be chairing the hearing today. The secretary for today's hearing is Ms. Kara Belshaw, and representing the City of Winnipeg Assessment Taxation Department is Mr. Arkalik Darkanov. We'll begin hearing applications for the revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application. We'll limit discussion to those matters. The statements that the applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony. Anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Please be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council. It's independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence that's provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I'll confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We'll then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they so wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You'll receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. Just this information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. Let me swear the parties in, please. Just housekeeping, if anyone has a cell phone, if they put it on silent, please.
Will you swear in or affirm?
I will affirm.
Please stand. State your name.
Arkalik Darkanov.
Do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I affirm.
Thank you. Please stand. Will you swear in or affirm today?
Affirm.
Please state your name.
Corey Kloos?
Do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm a little rushed. As far as the assessor's comparables that he'll use in the presentation. Okay. And do you want me to distribute these now?
Sure.
Okay. He's actually including this as well.
Okay.
You're welcome. Welcome.
Morning, Mr. Kloos.
Morning.
You're here regarding 292 Baltimore Road,
Correct.
and it's just the amount of the assessed value that we're dealing with?
Correct.
Thank you. Mr. Assessor, we'll hear from you, please, and if you would begin with the roll number and then please your evidence, please.
Roll number for such a property is 12-00-1142-000 with the street address at 292 Baltimore Road in a Riverview neighborhood. All of the comparables are in the Riverview neighborhood. It's a 1 3/4 story single dwelling with a year bill of 1926 and effective age of 1986, 1,752 square feet with a full basement and no basement finish on record. On record, 2 full baths, central air conditioner, 1 fireplace, and a detached single car garage. Lot size 6,397 square feet. 2019 assessment roll is $496,000. Total assessment per square foot is $283.11. There is a recommendation that was made to reduce the 2019 assessment to $465,000 or $265.41 per square foot to better reflect market on April 1st, 2016. For comparables, As I mentioned before, they are all in the Riverview neighborhood. 1.5 story, 1 3/4 story, and 2-story homes. Similar to to a degree, some are less similar, but for the most part similar in size to subject property. Comparable number of 2 is a bit bigger. They will have basement finish on record, and level of renovations would be I would say a bit less inferior to subject property. They also within the reference period between April 1st, 2014 and April 1st, 2016. Time adjusted sale price for comparable one is $461,800, comparable to $460,800, comparable 3 $521,100, and comparable 4 $538,200. Comparable one is a bit smaller, with updates to be estimated to be done to the house at around in about 2006, based on permits. And the comparable 2 is a larger home, and it appears to be a bit more dated, with updates done to it in about 1993. Comparable 3 appears to have some updates but doesn't have permits. And comparable 4 again has a bit more permits. Has a permit for the garage but all the rentals there and the radiator heat. Comparable 4 I would consider as a ceiling because it is in a superior location as a Churchill Drive with a river influence and a park. So is comparable 3. It has a park influence to it. So those 2 properties would be considered to be located in a bit of a more pristine location within the neighborhood. I would focus to comparable 1 as the best comparable in this presentation. It's a bit smaller home, so it will have to be adjusted for the size. It has a basement finish, so it has to be adjusted for basement finish. Subject property doesn't have 1 full bathroom completely finished yet, so we'll have to give some adjustments for the bathroom. Comparable number 1 doesn't have fireplace, so that will have to be adjusted for fireplace. And again, subject property would have more current updates because it has just completed major renovations in 2018. Whereas comparable number 1 had its updates done in 2006. So with that, I will just wanna, if you would take a look at some pictures. So on page 1, what we have there is,
Sorry, is this your evidence that we're looking at?
yes, this is evidence that I provided in addition to.
Thank you.
So at the top of page 1, we see a subject property in its current condition. At the bottom of the page 1, we see subject property in its condition prior to the renovation. So this is an MLS picture that was taken when new property owners purchased the property. So then on page 2, we have a picture of comparable number 1 with major renovations done I guess in or about 2006 per permits. At the bottom of it, we can see pictures that were with of comparable number 1 prior to 2006 renovations, and at the top we see a picture of the comparable number 1 with 2006 renovations. That's why I think that this particular property is very good comparable with the subject property, because overall they have undergone similar degree of renovations, except for the timing. Subject property was just done, and comparable number 1 was done 13 years ago. Next page would be comparable number 2. It appears more dated. It is a larger home, but doesn't seem to have as much or any renovation as I'm aware of. So comparable number 3 This is 206 Ashland, and again, as I said, those properties are located in a bit of a better location within the neighborhood, and so it's comparable number 4 on the following page. When I was adjusting for size, I added $19,000 to comparable one for size because it is smaller, so using $100 per square foot approach. I subtracted $25,000 for basement finish. I subtracted $5,000 for bathrooms. Added $5,000 for a fireplace. Added $20,000 for updates being more current than 13 years ago, and did also add $10,000, subtract $10,000 for landscape. Total $465,000. That was my recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Close, do you have questions of what the assessor has just presented?
So I guess one question would be, we're focusing only on 153 Maplewood and we're calling the other ones irrelevant?
I think the 153 Maplewood is the best comparable out of all the other four, other three. Yeah.
Okay. No, I don't think I really have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Nesbitt, questions for the assessor?
Just on that 465, where was I going with this? You've made your adjustments based on what you said, reduction and additions, various things. And have you spoken to the property owner about that?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And did you get a response?
Yes, the response I got, the property owner still thought that 465 was a bit too high, and he was, I believe his calculations were about 440, but he was willing to agree at around 450 or something like that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Murray?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There was a sale on the subject property in 2016, and it's $242,500.
Correct.
And do you know when that, the exact date was transacted?
I can let you know in a second. So it is August 29th, 2016. And that's, I guess.
You have the property in, the subject property of 1 3/4 story. So I noticed Ashland is your class, that is 1 3/4, but I'm just looking at the subject property, and it looks like it's 1 1/2 story. So why would you be classifying the, the property as 1 3/4 story?
That is, okay, after the this new property owner, Mr. What's the name? Mr. Corey Close purchased the property in 2016 August, which we see this yellow house at the bottom. They took a permit to construct a 2nd-story addition to the subject property. So that's why at the top we see the house with front view, which would appear that it has a half story. However, there's also a rear part which would have a, there is I guess a guideline to differentiate between 1 1/2 story and 1 3/4 story, and it is the height of the knee wall. And the subject property appears to have a knee wall at a higher height, where it would appear more like 1 3/4 stories and a half. Certainly, this front section would make it appear as if it is only a half story, but the back section, and I don't have the picture of it, would be more of a 2-story.
So I see that Ashland is just a little bigger, about 100 square feet bigger than the subject.
Yes.
Okay. So I noticed that, our reference year is April the 1st, 2016, so the sale is post-reference.
Yes, sale is, yeah,
Okay.
you're correct. Sale is-
So it shouldn't be in here at all, I don't think.
Yeah, I guess, the sale is irrelevant because
Yes.
subject underwent major renovation, so.
And so your original assessment was 496, okay? And you're recommending 465, which I understand the applicant is not, he has some other value. So what made you drop, I think you had mentioned the figures,
Yes.
okay? So that's your conclusion? The comparable number 4, it's on Churchill Drive.
Yes.
Is that fronting the river? Is that river
Well,
property?
it does have river influence, so it is a river property, so I mentioned it too.
Okay, yeah. So much more superior, thus the higher sale price. And I see that you only have, you have 2 old sales and 2 not really recent, but in 15. And that's all that's going on in the subject area?
Well, subject area does have sales, but when we have to look at the properties that have been renovated versus sales that have not been renovated.
My last question for you, you've given us the front sheet here and current condition of the property and prior to. Was there work permits taken out?
Yes, there were.
And was there value to that?
Well, there is a permit to construct a second-story addition with a declared construction value of $100,000.
Okay, I thank you very kindly. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Have you inspected the property?
Yes, I have.
You have done an interior inspection of the property? I just noticed the age variant that's been applied to it is 60 years. Was there work done to the interior of the house other than the addition?
Yes, there was. House has been gutted with all new insulation, all new interior finish. Currently, detached garage was added as well, and property owner also took out a permit to, and currently in the process of completing the basement.
Okay, so this age variant, is this an actual calculated age variant, or is it just an observed age variant?
I believe this one is calculated, but I wasn't the one who did it.
Okay. I just noticed because it's a 60-year variant, and the one that you say is your best comparable is only a 40-year variant.
Mm-hmm.
But that makes sense to you?
Well, yeah, and let me explain it. The comparable has been, I guess, well, the original year build would play a bit of a role in it because comparable one was built in 47, comparable subject property was built in 26. So you cannot apply same age variant to both if they were renovated similarly because there is a gradation.
No, I understand that there's a difference in the original age, but what I'm saying is your variant age, you've increased this one 60 years. With the other one, you only increased 40 years.
Yeah, and in fact, there is a gradation because let's say if we will have a property that is, and I'll use an example that is easy to calculate. For example, if we have a house that was built at the beginning of the century, 1900 even, then we have another property that was built in 1950. Both of them were renovated in or around 2000. So the one that was built at the beginning of the century will get a bigger age variant because there's only so much you can add to 2000. You can only go up to 100 years. If one will give about 80 years, if you give the property that was built in 1950 80 years, you're going to go into the future. So you cannot do that. So there will be a gradation based on type of work done, type of renovations, and as well as
And I guess finally, so you've inspected the house, there is no basement finish in this particular house?
No.
And you made an allowance for that, I think you said it was 25,000?
Correct.
But $20,000 increase for the age?
Okay, 19,000 for the size, because comparable number one is smaller.
Right.
$20,000 for the updates being used, because comparable one was updated 13 years ago.
Okay.
Subject property was updated currently, so it's a lot newer, everything is much better.
Okay, so it's the age of the improvements versus the comparable.
Yes.
Okay, I thank you. Mr. Clues, we'll hear from you, please.
So,
One package for each person, yeah. I dealt with it.
oh, I see.
Yeah, I'll summarize. Okay,
Just one more, please.
yeah, sure.
Okay, you're gonna walk us through your presentation then?
Yes, yes. So I would just note a couple of things, not that I really take issue with it, but it's noted as a 1,752 square foot house. I attached the floor plans to the back. It's less than that, slightly less. I'd have to do the exact calculations, but I think it's closer to 1,700 square feet. And then I was confused about the 1.5 versus 1 3/4 as well. The assessor had noted it looks different from the back, but it doesn't. The elevation on the back is identical to the front. It's a peak roof, so the whole house was built with trusses that included the floor within the trusses, and it was craned up and stacked up, and that was your floor, your roof, everything all in one. And the only part that's raised is that side bump out you see for the bathroom. So, but the height of the knee wall is higher than a typical older 1.5 story. So I don't know what really qualifies as 1 3/4 versus 1.5. I don't have any real tools available to me to do this as an assessor might, so what I focused on here was sales books comparisons first. So I pulled the sales books, I made a spreadsheet that basically said, okay, if this, then that. We took all the metrics from my house, matched up to everything in the sales book, and came up with a summary on that. And I specifically just focused on the Riverview neighborhood because the data was kind of overwhelming. So in Riverview, average price with same metrics was $250, $261 a square foot, which was actually very reasonable based on my other research. And that would put the value of the home at $442, $572, $72 as I noted there. In a search for the most recent home sales compared, I also used 153 Maplewood as an example because it did look to be the most relevant. And I noted it sold in 2015 for $455 with a time adjusted value of $462. And it included a finished basement, finished yard, all of that, so sort of everything. I also noted here my cost to complete, so I've attached, I have the original purchase price, I'm a little bit off, but $242. And the cost to complete, I attached some CRA paperwork that I used to file for a GST credit on the house. And I've shown we've spent a total of $164,597.81. We still have a little bit to go. So I think full completion, we're gonna be into it for around $450 approximately. So I just wanted to note that of what we've actually paid to date. I contacted a realtor, I had them include a letter here. Their opinion of value was once the basement's finished and the house is fully done, then it should sell for around $460. She sent me 2 comparables that just sold in the last few months. One was actually 2 doors down from me and it sold for $450. And then there was another one in the area.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but these are actually post-reference
Oh,
sales.
okay.
So we're dealing with April 1, 2016.
Okay, so leave that out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then just disregard, there's 2 pages attached that you can disregard there. The added value of the basement, I had a phone call with the assessor, and he indicated that roughly, of course, he didn't know exactly, but he said, you know, usually it could be somewhere around 25,000. I just note that because I considered it when looking at all other comparables, because almost every other comparable had a finished basement. So I sort of minus that. I could not find any reason, and I tried to keep all emotion out of this, and I could not find any plausible reason that the house without with a finished basement would be worth any more than around 460. So I was trying to be reasonable in saying right now it shouldn't exceed between 435 and 440. Based on everything that I found, I could not find anything contradictory to that. I did note the assessor's values for 493 Churchill, but the thing is, like, Churchill Drive, you're looking right onto the river. So I couldn't find similarities. 206 Ashland's literally right across from Fisher Park. It's a beautiful spot. Houses do sell for more in that area. Same with 106 Baltimore, you're right near Fisher Park. And as you get closer to Fisher Park in Riverview, the values seem to go up. So 153 Maplewood was really the only example I could look at here that was relevant with the amount of renovations that was done. I didn't really discern between, you know, this one renovations was done this year and this year, because based on my research for comparables, nobody really seems to care about that one buying a house. It was just, what are the houses worth, what did they sell for? And based on that, I couldn't get above that value. And my concern is that at the end of the day, I'm assessed at 496 now, and then with a finished basement, how much higher am I going? And it's just, there's no way I could sell the house for that. So I don't know quite what else to say other than I've looked at everything I know how to look at. I've looked at all the previous sales. I haven't tried to inject any sort of opinion into it, and I will say that yes, we put hardwood floors in and stuff like that, but the vast majority of the homes in the area have hardwood floors. So I don't think I did anything over and above an extreme that would create the value to be large, other than a fancy stair railing. And even that I welded myself on a budget. So yeah, I guess that's really all I have to say. I put everything in there in the summary. The rest of the paperwork is really just backups to what I'm saying, so that you know where I'm coming from.
So this is the spreadsheet that you,
Yeah. So there's, the first part of it is just listing my home and the metrics for that.
right,
And then it does the whole area, but I sort of skipped over Earl Grey and all those areas in Lord Roberts, and I went right to Riverview. And then everything I could find with Riverview was on 2 pages right at the back. And then there's specific relevant examples in there. I mean, I'll note, like even 501 Churchill Drive, 1 3/4 story was at 407,628, 1773 square feet. And that's the closest example I could find, but it's on Churchill, and it probably wasn't completely renovated. So it's really hard to find exacts to what I have, but looking at it as a whole, I tried to average it out, and then I tried to say, well, obviously, it's not gonna be at the lowest square footage value. So I went a little bit above average in my calculation, based on what I could find. And then, of course, relied pretty heavily on the realtor.
as I say, unfortunately, the realtor's opinion is
An opinion.
an opinion,
Yeah.
and it's after the reference date.
Yeah, no, fair enough, yeah. So then really I would just go back to, all I really have to go on is the sales book.
The sales book,
Yeah.
your sales book comparisons, that's your conclusions.
That's my
from those.
conclusion from the sales book,
Right.
of what I could see.
Right, and then your cost to complete.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't have much of a terrible issue with the value that the assessor presented at the 465 with a fully finished house. I don't take much of an issue in that regard. I mean, I think it's $5,000 high, but whatever. I'm scared about what that means when the yard is finished and the basement is finished and this, but anybody buying a house in that price range is gonna expect those things, and it shows that all of the houses sold have that type of stuff done. Houses don't sell without the basements finished or yards finished in that area, it seems.
Okay, I thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Assessor, do you have questions for the applicant?
I don't have any questions for the applicant, thanks.
No? Ms. Nesbitt?
No questions?
Mr. Merrick?
Thank you, Mr. McPherson. So I'm just looking at the top picture, and there's landscaping to do yet.
Yeah,
Okay. And you did put, is that a front sidewalk?
yeah, there's a front sidewalk area.
Okay. And, but you're all set to go right now?
Yes.
Or, you
They're
know?
coming in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
to put grass and all
And
that.
do you have an estimated cost figure, what it's gonna cost?
Yeah, I think everything that he was doing is around $8,500, and that was all the grass. That was my fence posts, and I'm gonna put up the decking myself, and then, what else was he doing? Some retaining wall in the back, minor, fairly minor stuff.
You have a professional landscaper?
Yeah, yeah, I hired a company to do it, yeah.
I guess you concluded value for the present time at $450?
My concluded value at the present time was, where did I put it here, sorry?
It's on the front sheet there.
Yeah,
You're into it.
between 435 and 440 was at the present time before the basement's done and stuff, because
Yeah.
my assumption is the basement and the yard raises it by at least 30 grand.
Okay.
So I feel I'm being very realistic at the present time without it being finished.
I thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I commend you in regards to all the work that you did.
Oh,
Like,
thanks,
took
yeah, I
that-
didn't know how far to take it.
Okay, as far as the basement finish goes, do you have plans to do that?
Yeah, the plans were drawn up, permitted, and it's underway right now. I'm working on it right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
and what's your estimated cost on that?
I listed the value on the permit as 35 grand. I think I can do it for a bit less. Realistically, I don't think it's gonna come in as low as 25, but I think it'll be around 30 grand cost to me, to do that.
So it's gonna be like a rec room, bedroom, bathroom?
Guest room, 1 bathroom, 1 rec area, yeah. Yeah, it's not a huge basement, because the front part of the house, there's a crawl space under it,
Mhm.
so it's not a full-on basement.
And there is an outstanding permit on that then?
On the
Okay,
basement,
so
yeah,
the
yeah, the
basement.
permit's done, yeah, the electrical permit was put in, building permit, everything, yeah.
Okay, I thank you. Any desire for a summation, Mr. Assessor?
As a summation, I just want to get focus again on the property owner did bring in his evidence, sales books, and again, from what it appears, the entire sales books in the area, so I would urge you, the board, to focus more on houses with renovation. So if you do that, then price per square foot or sales price would go up. And again, if in my own calculations, I did allow $10,000 for the landscaping, and and I did mention that before. So with that, I believe that 465 is supported based on the sales as of April 1st, 2016 reference date. Thank you.
I thank you. Mr. Cluse,
Yes.
any desire for a summation? Or just
No, I
stand
think it's
with what
all,
you presented?
I think it's all in the summary there, yeah, I
Okay.
don't know anything else to add.
Okay, I thank you very much for your presentation,
Yep.
and that will conclude this hearing.
Okay.
We'll issue a written order,
Okay.
and that will be coming in due course.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Register mail.
Okay, sounds good, yeah.
Just have one more matter to deal with. Thank you. Have a good day. This is regarding Border Revision File 19-13 for the 2018 supplementary assessment for roll 0309-3002740 of no civic address. It was adjourned at the April 4th, 2019 hearing, and it's been determined that the assessment was issued in error, and as such, the application is deemed to be void, and the item has been filed. Thank you. Thank you very much.